Hey y'all, um been spending a lot of time thinking, dealing with a lot of sadness, and a lot of time dumping old things out of my mind. Um every time certain thoughts come up, in a way questioning like, where does this come from? Is this relevant to me? Does this help me? Does this make me feel better? Does it make me feel worse? Um, when I do things, when I'm on the internet or watch things, how does this make me feel? Does it make me feel better? If it makes me feel bad, then what are the emotions that come up that make me feel this way? A question that's come up recently is what is self-worth? I think for me, there's a disconnect on what that is supposed to mean. Because when I think about it, I don't really know what it means. I know the general definition of what self worth means, what self love means, what people say that it means. But those definitions don't register to my brain as anything that really makes sense. And I believe it's because my mind is coming from a concept of, or coming from a place where the idea of worth doesn't make sense. Because in order for you to be worth something, that means you have to be compared with something else. The way worth is determined in our world is it has to have some sort of value to the masses. It has to compare to something else. When you think about the price of gold, what is the worth of gold being compared to? Other minerals, other things, its usefulness in the world. When you think about businesses, what are they comparing their prices to? Generally, other businesses, other markets, the cost of food, the cost it takes to make, if it's a food business, whatever. Worth has to have something to be compared to for it to even have the classification of some form of worth in its usefulness. I'm realizing these ideas don't make sense to me. And sitting with myself, talking with ChatGPT, asking general questions like, what is the meaning of self-worth? And coming to my own conclusions about what does that mean exactly? And I think that my definition of what self-worth has been for me has been skewed by what the world determines worth is. When in reality, in myself, without the world's influence and without the definition of worth, without even thinking about whatever worth is, I have no worth. And what I mean by that is there's no such thing as worth. Because when you're one of one of one of one, there's nothing to compare yourself to. As a spirit beyond the body, the idea of worth doesn't make sense. Because if you're only one thing and you've only ever been one thing, the idea of worth in comparison to something else doesn't make sense. value doesn't make sense. The value of your usefulness in the world doesn't make sense. When I sit in the dark and it's just me, there's a lot of sadness and emotions that come up, and I'm realizing it's because I'm trying to quantify the meaning of worth to myself that is one of one. And it's painful because I don't know how to determine that. That doesn't make sense. What am I comparing myself with? Against other people? They aren't me. How can I compare to something that's not me? How can I compare myself to something that has very low value when it comes to money or what I'm worth, what my work is worth, what my art is worth, or whatever? Everything seems too fucking low. Comparing myself to another person doesn't even make sense. Comparing my work to theirs doesn't make sense. When I'm floating in the void of self and everything else falls away, these ideas and concepts disappear, and they have no weight in my mind. But the moment that I step back into this body, in this mind, it all rushes back to me. The worry, the fear, the sadness, the doubt, deep, deep sadness, all flows back and is extremely overwhelming. And it makes sense why I would daydream a lot, because it really doesn't make sense. I'm realizing that a lot of things that I thought, a lot of things that I've been told don't make sense to me. Ways of being don't make sense to me. Ideas and belief systems and even the idea of God doesn't make sense to me. Like when you hear people say you are God, what does that mean? We have our preconceived ideas what it means to be God, this grandiose view that Christianity and other Abrahamic religions has painted, this grandiose view of infinity that spirituality has painted for people. But in reality, those things don't even make sense. How could you know what something is that you can't actually perceive? It's just like me saying I know what air is, even though I've never fucking seen air. I know what it's made up of. It took somebody to look really deep into what air actually is for them to determine what they think it is. And even that's in question as well. I'm sorry. I need this. This is cinnamon tea. It's not regular cinnamon tea though. It's what the hell is this? Not Lebanon. I can't remember. It's not like the teas that you would, or the cinnamon that you would get from like Mexico or somewhere. It's a special, the original cinnamon. And it's delicious. It'll come to me eventually. I'll tell you what kind. But if you look up real cinnamon, you'll figure it out. And it's not Lebanese. It's anyway, I can't think of anything. But it's really good. And clove is in there as well. But the idea that you know what God is, or what God should look like or be, is delusional. What is God? From my perspective, outside of this body, God is nothing. Nothing important that we would consider important. God is the essence of just being, and humans don't know how to do that. Not really. We are too consumed with being here, the sensations in this body, the things that we hear and see, feel, that takes us away from what it means to be God or whatever. I don't know what it means to be God fully. All I know is that if I am God, then I am nothing that this world would consider valuable. And I think that's what people miss, is they think it's all power and all this and all that, which is true, but not really. Not really at all. Hopefully you can hear me. I don't have my microphone. It's fine. What does it mean to have self-worth? The idea of comparing yourself to anything to define worth is a meaningless endeavor. So I think I'm deciding to let go of that idea. Every time something comes up and a system or belief system or thought process that has been told to me comes up around it, like when I think about where I am in life, how to move forward, or the fact that I don't know how to move forward, I hear things like things will get better and you just have to hope and you just have to trust. Trust in what? That things will work out. Work out in what way? Whatever way that is, what does that mean? I'm realizing I don't know what a lot of things mean. I'm also realizing that I don't want what other people want. And I've said this before, but I mean on a deeper, maybe even more existential level. I've been told by my mother, you should change your mindset and things will get better for you. And I always think, change my mindset to what? Change my mindset to be more positive? Because to me, in my experience in what being more positive is, it's completely ignoring the pain, which is something Black people do a lot of. We do a lot of sweeping under the rug, especially as women, because we have to carry on. We can't cry, we can't be weak, because to be weak means we break down and we're vulnerable. If that's what it means to change my mindset, then I can't do that. If to change my mindset means to think more positively and hope for something better, what is better? Survival? I feel like we've become so accustomed to being grateful for crumbs in our lives. And that really low-key, high-key pisses me off. I'm supposed to be grateful for barely being able to survive. I'm not. I'm grateful for having what I have, but I'm not grateful for the idea that I just survived today. What am I surviving for? The next day? They'll say the next day can get better. Better in what way? If better to you means my lights are on, the water's running, I have food, I have a place to sleep, that's fine. But that's not what I want. So the question is, what do I want? Nothing here. And that's the complicated part. When I think about what I want, I can come up with a lot of things that I would like. But do I want them? No. Everything that I could think of is a replacement for something else. I could want more money so that I could go do things and have more things. But the things that I have and do is just another replacement for the sadness I feel. To survive is just a human response to this body and its natural forces of not wanting to die, because our bodies were built to survive. But survival is not what I want. It's a instinct of being a human animal, but it's not what I want. If wanting is having a career and things to do and something to achieve, that sounds nice, but I don't want that either. It would just be another replacement for the sadness that I feel. If wanting is wanting a romantic partner, wanting someone to see me, I would want that. But it still would be a replacement for the sadness. In truth, I don't want anything. I feel like if I was able to not want anything freely and it not affect my life in such a negative way, I would do that. And not wanting anything means not wanting anything. I don't want food. I don't want water. I don't want lights. I don't want a home. I don't want electricity. I already said that. I don't want all the things. I don't want this device. I don't want to survive. I don't want this body. I don't want anything. And some people would say that's a dangerous place to be. I think, honestly, it's the ultimate freedom, because that means nothing, not even survival, can control you. I've also come to realize that from the outside looking in, a person would say, oh, she needs help. You know, she needs therapy or she needs medication. And what I feel now is I actually, in truth, don't think that anything is wrong with me. I think that I'm in a place where I can perceive a state of being that I cannot currently touch in this body. And that is the greatest source of my sadness. And most people can't perceive things like that. Most people can't perceive not wanting anything at all because of the nature of being human, but even more so, the nature of being in the world that we live in, where we're taught that if you don't want anything, then there's something wrong with you. I look around in the world and people are fucked up. They're disturbing. They're so disturbed in every way, and it's sick. I feel like I'm in a place I feel like I'm literally in an insane asylum. as I walk around in the world in more ways than one, with all the crazy shit going on, people celebrating the death of a extremist, people mourning him, people following what he says, people against it. Just a bunch of sick fucks. I think when it comes to that, people don't realize, and I'll say this is totally off the cuff. People don't realize that when you celebrate the death of someone with whom you disagree with their points of view, what you're doing is making it okay for someone to, making it okay to kill someone for disagreeing with you. That means if you disagree with what he says and you think he should die for that, that means the next person who disagrees with you has the right to kill you as well. So it's like people are so fucking angry and so delusional and so caught up in their shit, they can't see anything. They can't see what's happening. And the death of that guy is the start of something in America that we will see unfold within the next 5 years, maybe even next 5 to 10 years. It depends on how quickly things will change. But people aren't willing to change. They're not willing to see beyond the pain. You know why? Because people constantly ignore it. This is why I say, what does it mean to change your mindset? Does it mean to change my mindset to how you see things? Does it mean to ignore every pain that you feel in hopes that you'll never see it again? Does it mean wanting things that you never really wanted and chasing another thing after another after another? Once you're done with that thing, now you want something else because that last thing didn't do it for you? Is changing your mindset ignoring all the pain that you've pressed down for the last however many years, continuing to do that with modern conveniences and scraps, crumbs that these billionaires feed you and teach you to be grateful for? Is that what changing your mindset is? If that's what changing your mindset is, then I'm not interested. I would rather see things exactly for how they are, even if that hurts me. Even if it takes me away from you. Even if it makes us not see eye to eye. I would rather that than lose myself in the truth to delusion. I'll say this in closing. I think my biggest issue is that my spirit has never been able to fully believe the role of being human. I've never been fully integrated into being human. I feel like I've always been split in two, I think for more reasons than one, but split in two in comparison of a part of my body. A part of my mind or my spirit is here in this body, and a part of my spirit is somewhere else. And they've never been able to connect fully. I've never been able to be fully immersed in the human experience. And I think it's because I see it exactly for what it is, and I can't unsee that. So no, I'm not interested in changing my mindset if it means that. What I am interested in is dumping all of the crap that I've ever been taught to believe about myself, my surroundings, life, and people. If that's what changing my mindset is, then I'm already in the process of that. It's probably already fully happened. So I have no desire to be like anyone here. I admire people for what they are, but I don't admire them in comparison to me. So if you feel like the way I do, I would say change your mindset to truth, if that flows for you. To see things exactly as they are, and then you won't have the urge. I feel like as I do this, I have less and less urge to engage in chaos. The chaos and the propaganda and the sickness that everyone lives in. I feel like I have the greatest clarity, yet I'm made to feel crazy living here. There's more that I have to say, but not today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not. Anyways, talk to you later.